What's going on, you guys? Slim here with my good friend Simon and we're back here with another top 32 deck profile. He recently played in the remote duel YCS. A lot of people didn't actually know, but we did have a remote duel YCS this past weekend, and this is the first. Yeah, it was the first event actually. Like, I want to say it is the first event for us post our new ban list with Mystic Mind gone. Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. Remotes are nuts. I played in it myself. It was just a very long, grueling ordeal, and I couldn't hack it, so I definitely give you kudos for sticking it out, man, and making it all the way to top 32. I know it wasn't easy, but how was the remote experience? I know it's been a while since we've had an event like this. Like, how did it run out for you?
I mean, it was mostly fine. Round 1 and 2 took a bit long in between, and I entered the tournament feeling fine, and then I started getting ill by round 2, and then progressively more ill, and because obviously I'm in a different time zone, that round 1 finished at 6 a.m. for me, because it was like for the, I think, based on California's time zone.
Yes, it was. On PT. Yeah.
I just wanted to play. I just wanted to play the new format a little bit. It feels like almost the same format with some niche differences. That's really what I want to talk about really for the new December 2022 ban list. We lost 2 orange lights.
Yes.
It's limited to 1. Mystic Mind's banned, and then what else is there?
Curious is gone, but I don't think you were playing. I don't think the ISHIZU tier list wasn't playing Curious to my knowledge, so I don't think that was really an impact.
Yeah, I personally didn't really like orange light, especially for the mirror.
Yeah.
Its Bestials and Bell is just far better, but orange light was holding the bay, holding the other decks off against ISHIZU, and like a lot of people thought the ban list isn't going to affect ISHIZU being on top, which is true. Although against Fluenderies, against Exorcist, against Sprite, against pretty much every other deck, orange light is just so much better. And because it lost 2, it lost those consistent ways to just end a turn or like just play heavily in their turn by discarding Kelbeck or Ajido. And you lose a relatively consistent way to stop Shifter as well, which is super important. So, like going into the tournament, I think even though the deck doesn't really look that different to San Jose, which was a couple of weeks ago, but a different ban list, I think like the correct way to play the deck was to build it in a way that is catered more against other decks and not the mirror, because I think the mirror is like relatively solved now. I think like in San Jose, everyone had roughly the same strategy of having high Bestial and then Bell in the main or the side, and that is good. But like Bell is not that good against a lot of matchups. You can't really play it versus Fluenderies, and the high Bestials, like if it was just all mirrors, you'd play like 9 Bestials. You main deck 9 Bestials, but there's like Fluenderies and Exorcisters, so that deck, like Bestials do nothing against them. So I think the correct way was to stick with the same strategy for the mirror, but side and main more heavier stuff for for those other decks, just because we lost that like big edge in the ban list. I'd say this, but I actually, again, I lost in top 32 to like a shifter deck to Fluenderies. Like same thing with San Jose. I literally like 2-0'd within 10 minutes. I couldn't summon anything, couldn't literally do anything. Like for this event, top 32, he went first in game 1. He goes Pot of Extravagance, chain Shifter, I chain Herald of Orange Light, he chased Core by the Grave, and he has Map.
Oh, jeez.
And it was just over.
Yeah.
Game 2, I couldn't get into Baguska. I didn't have any other level 4s. I go Hello Rhino into Rhino Heart summon, and he chain Shifter. I set Solik and End, and he has Map, Evenly, Cosmic, and 1 bird, and it was just over. Like it was like the same thing against Exorcister. Like I think out of the 6 matches I've played against Fluenderies and Exorcister in the past 3 YCS, I got 2-0'd in them all. So maybe I'm not maining or siding heavy enough versus them at the moment.
Or I think they're just drawing like ideal.
Yeah,
like,
I've been shifted all 6
Yeah.
games. In the 3 matches I've been shifted and it resolved all 6 games. So it's just, I don't know, like some people say that breaks, but it just doesn't against And it's not. I don't think it's supposed to happen that regularly, but if you hit that variant, sometimes it is what it is. Like, I'm very, very comfortable playing the mirror. I think I would love to play the mirror in the Swiss. I think in San Jose and this YCS remote, I played a total of 11 mirrors.
Oh wow.
11 or 10. I lost one of them, and that was due to slight misplay. So I'm very comfortable in the mirror. So yeah, it's for me coming into the event. It was literally about worrying about every other deck that
Except
is
the mirror.
oppressive with the D-fishes and the shifters and stuff like that.
Makes sense. All right,
So,
but
yeah.
we can just show the
I'll show
deck
you
off.
this.
Yeah, we can show the
Camera
deck
down.
real quick. Yeah, we can show the deck
Yeah.
real quick. It's all good. Yeah, you said it's pretty similar to your list from Costa Rica, so you only can explain if there's any real
Relatively,
changes.
yeah, I'll just go by it quick. Two Rhino, I think the ratio is perfectly fine now. These are the Shurins, 3 Hardness, 3 Merleys. This is like pretty standard all around. And the ISHIZUs, 3 of this, 3 Keldo, 3 Medora, 3 Kelbeck. Wait. 3 Kelbeck, 1 Agido, and then the 1 Orange Light. This is now kind of like a call by the grave now. It seems like every time you do draw it, it feels quite sacky, like a call by the grave, but I still think it's very necessary.
Yeah.
This, I'm not 100% on. It's not very good in the mirror unless you use it to establish a body, 2 bodies in their turn for like rank 4 plays. But that didn't really come up very often. Like the only times I did do it was in the mirror in my own turn. Yeah, I wanted just like the extra miller against all the other decks as well. So that's why I played it. There is another option, I'll talk about it in the end. Instead of this and 2 other cards, I could play 3 imperms. That would have been better versus like, it's low impact-ish, but better versus, you know, the Exorcist decks, like all the decks that losing to Orange Light would hurt you. So we have 6 Bestials. This is the 6. I think this ratio is perfectly fine. Like, I side a Virtuous one when I go second in the mirror. I think any more you will just like your hands will be so dead against those other matchups. Like this is good enough in the mirror. And for the spells, it's 3 Pearl Rhino, 1 Terraforming, 2 Scream, 1 Heartbeat, 1 Instant Fusion, 2 Tactics, and for the traps, 2 Sulliek.
Okay.
So for Sulliek, I'd main Crime, and 1 Sulliek, but Crime is like really bad going second. It doesn't really do anything if you Harvness or you happen to Orange Light a Miller, or they mill you, it does nothing. Whereas like with Sulliek, there's lots of really nice plays with Rhino Heart's graveyard effect, and you discard Sulliek, and you can do a lot of things with it. So you only side Crime when you go first. This is the other 2 cards that may not have been like this was the flex spot basically. These 2 and the Agido could have been 3 imperms, which would have been better versus like you can hit in the mirror. You can hit the Kalos, which is quite impactful. Potentially you can do it. You can imperm the Dweller in your turn because everyone does it in standby phase. Against Fluunda, you can just hit like Robina or Empen, and their turn could end if they don't have the quick play. Against Exorcist, you hit like the first XYZ and stuff like that. So I went with this because this is like still really good going first, especially going first and second. I'm not 100% sure on that decision because like I did lose to Flu once, like the shifter decks once again. Then maybe you can try 3 imperms, like some people have been on that. What I want to say is that one of the things I want to say is like some people have been trying to get a little cute with the deck and change it outside of the norm, because these ratios are quite normal now. There's like very few flex spots, 40 cards as well. Some people are playing like polymerization with what is it card called? King of the Swamps, and the new Dark World card.
The new fusion. Yeah, I've seen that.
To bring that out, but like I mentioned, like I thought that was like really neat things to do, but I saw it as more of like a win more strategy, because the strategy in the mirror is quite consistent with the bells and the Bestials anyway. You just have to play good Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to be very good at technical play. Sometimes you have to be lucky with the mills too, of course. But so I didn't see that as solving the problems of the deck, which again I saw it was like the other matchups, like the shifter matchups, which doesn't really help against those decks at all. You only do it going first, so it makes your going first even stronger than it usually already is. And if they shifted you, you're not bringing that card out anyway. So unless you open King of the Swamp and Pulley and something, and like a dark. So yeah, I didn't really think it was necessary to do something like that. For the side deck is where I went heavy on the on the non-mirror haze. So we have the one side. I hardly side in more than like 2 cards when I'm going first. Like when I'm going first, it's just literally these 2 cards. Oh, the other reason I didn't want to do the imperm is because these have to be in the side, like when you go first, at least in the side. So it took up too much space if I had all 3 in the side, and there's too many cards I wanted in, so I couldn't really find the space. So mostly these are the only 2 cards that are going first. And we have Dark Ruler for like Exorcister, Sprite, what's that deck called? Pendulum Joker Slayers, and Blunderies, of course. And then we have, instead of 3 Twin Twister, which is still good, I think, and there are some spots that I want it because you can side Twin Twister going first. You can't side these going first. It's like Lightning Storm. With the 3 D-Fishers, I was kind of concerned that people were going to side in like 3 D-Fishers, especially in Blunderies or Exorcister, so I just wanted this to clear boards. Sometimes you clear monsters as well, because one of the changes that I didn't play Dark Hole anymore. So at least with this, against Flunderies, you have the option to hit the front row or the back row.
Yeah, it gave you just options.
You just want the side deck to be as high impact and versatile as possible against your weaker matchups. And yeah, like the third power spell is like super poly against the non-mirror matchups. And it's very good against Sprite. It's good against anything that's not mirror, basically. It's good against Exorcist. It's not good against Flu, unfortunately. So you can side it like going first against Exorcist as well as going second. Like if they trigger Valdez at some point in Exorcist to summon 2 things, then you can super poly them. 3 Bell mainly for the mirror, but also for the like the Naturia Runics deck that is going around. It's actually kind of scary if you don't know how to play against them. Once they get going, they just keep going, and if they bring out Chen Ying, it's like really strong. So this can stop Chen Ying's effect as well. But just overall really good against these 4. It's just literally what goes in against the mirror going second. It's been working wonders so far. Anytime I lose a game in the mirror, and the only match I've lost in the mirror recently, I feel it's literally because I've made some small mistake that turned into a big mistake. So I think the ratios of everything to go against the mirror is perfectly fine. It's just you just got to keep practicing tier 0 mirrors, and like the nuances is it is more detailed than most people think.
Right, and just really, like you said, just kind of just accounting for your like worst matchups, like accounting for the non-mirror.
Yeah,
this is kind of the key for this format.
For me, going into this event, that was what I was afraid of, and just happened to lose the non. I think I played like all non-mirrors all mirrors apart from one mature unit deck. Yeah. So, and then I had to play the Flunderies in top 32 and lose there again. And for the extra deck, it's exactly the same. As last time, it's the 3 Tearlament fusions and the 3 other fusions: Madragon, Garura, and Dragostapelia. I think for this specific build of Tearlaments, the most standard build of Tearlaments is ISHIZU. I think the extra deck is pretty much solved. Like one of the only cards that you can kind of have in there, but still not as good as all of these, still not as useful as all of these, is the Exciter Knight, and that might be okay. Again, I need to test that more against like the non-mirrors, the 2 sprites in the dark, the only links. I don't make this as much, but there are plays that I do know it's necessary. Like, there are a lot of plays that I don't utilize as much. There's a lot of lines in the deck. That's why I don't make this as much. So the only card that will go out for Excited Knight is this, but I don't think it's I don't think that's a good decision overall. And the XYZ's use, Duel, absolutely necessary for booster. Yeah, whenever I play against like Flu or Exorcista, they always have like the shifter, the out to this and engine is just horrible. Beatrice, Time Thief, and Wallow. This has been ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did you like Wallow? Because I've seen it kind of go in and out of list, but now post ban list, I'm wondering if it's become more of like a mainstay in the extra deck.
No, yeah, 100% is. The fear of the last event, we feared, my friend and I, we feared like maining this card, because if they mill you and then they make a rank 6 into this, they can tactics you in their first turn, even if they don't draw it. So that rarely ever happens. Like I tend to bring this out in a sort of grind game where I have to get over big monsters. You get over Avomats with this by just like having this, then having a big graveyard and you normal summon like Shuren or something. You can OTK with this pretty easily, like even through a bunch of monsters, which I did this tournament, just literally just having like a few monsters, they have a few monsters, this bumps up all of your monsters by like at least 1,000 because the graveyard is probably so big, especially if you mill them as well. And like, not, you know, taking a mirror, taking Pillar Rhino, taking anything that you're missing basically. You can even special, I've never done this, but you can special summon like one of them monsters as well. If you need like special summon like, a Rhino Heart or something like that, you can special summon if they have a Kaleido Heart in there. It's just insane. Like usually you take the spells like Pillar Rhino or Tactics. This just gives so many options to your play to out anything that is threatening your game state right now, and I think it's just amazing. Oh god. So yeah, that is everything. It's, again, like I said, it's not changed that much, but I think the key takeaway, like I keep mentioning, is just to make the deck more consistent versus the mirrors. Just like, you just have to beat the shifter decks, because they keep stopping me. The mirrors have been fine, the sprites have been fine, like every other matchup have been fine, but like
it's the non-tier, it's the shifter decks.
Yeah, I could play, I could like grind and like potentially outplay them, but against the shifter decks, you know, if you can't deal with shifter, you can't make Gusu, that's it. You literally don't play interactive Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's not really fun.
Exactly, but awesome job, man. Another top in the books. Lost track of how many tops there are now. We've had you on the channel so much in the last year. It's just awesome to see. You've been extremely consistent. I know you're very humble on it, but you have been extremely consistent in all these events, so it's always great to see.
I'm doing beast mode next year, man.
This year wasn't beast mode. This is crazy. You've been extremely consistent. Yeah.
Like it's not even about consistency, but like recently I've been noticing, apart from the remote YCS win, it was literally, I've been losing a lot in the first round of Top Cut, and it's been frustrating me. Yeah. And next year I have the Worlds playoffs as well, so I have to be at my very best.
Yeah, and we'd love to see you at Worlds, man. That would be something else. Like definitely something to look forward to. But just awesome to see you do well again. Congratulations on the top 32.
Thank you very much, man.
Yep, always a pleasure, and thank you for the deck profile.
Take care.